Hello everyone at Africa in Colors, the weekend gaming competition. I'm really happy to be able to talk to you guys for a little while about Alibaba Cloud, the Alibaba Cloud Academy, and talk to you about the gaming industry development in Africa. Super excited for you guys to be interested in this topic, and I hope the whole lot of you can learn something from me today and from all the other speakers that inspire you to start building your own game application or get involved in the gaming industry in some other way. I thank Kofi for inviting me to speak and be a part of this. I'm very excited about your marketplace over there. It's just not a marketplace that we have touched on very often. And I've been here at Alibaba for over 2 years now. And I've always wanted to reach out more to our customers, users, enthusiasts out in Africa. So I'm really happy to be here today. And I'll say this at the end, but I should say at the beginning. I really hope that I can get in contact with each of you personally and talk about your cloud journey, whether that be gaming or for anything else. So really happy to be here, really happy to talk to you guys. So my name is James Fitzgerald. I'm a New Yorker, living in China now for 8 years. I've been at Alibaba for 2 years. And I work part of the training and certification team for Alibaba Cloud International. And so what I do is I work mostly online in certifying people on Alibaba Cloud products and solutions. So our main website, edu.alibabacloud.com, is a website that I manage, and I'm looking to sort of educate the world on cloud computing in general, and then more specifically on how Alibaba Cloud can help you design the cloud architecture of your dreams. In general, the cloud business for Alibaba is mostly focused in China. Our main business is done here, but we do have a strong international branch. And we do a lot of solutions that involve connecting to China for businesses that are interested in connecting their network to China or have some sort of business relation to China. Alibaba Cloud is much better than our competitors in that. But we do offer top-notch products built around databases and storage and networking that do compare nicely with Amazon's and Microsoft and Google's. Well, I won't be talking too much about these products because I really want to focus on the gaming industry and you guys. You should know that Alibaba Cloud does offer hundreds of products, hundreds of solutions, and if that's something you're interested in know more about, you can visit directly alibabacloud.com. Cool. So that's my introduction. Let's jump into the video game industry. So the Alibaba Cloud has provided video game solutions for companies mostly based in Southeast Asia and Japan. We do have a very strong platform, of course. And so we found that people can build their game designs on our platform with a lot of reliability. I think something that's very important in the game industry is that reliability. If there is lag during a game that's hosted on an internet or the cloud, or there is times when you can't log in, you lose a lot of users very quickly. So it's very important to the gaming industry to be able to be online all the time. And so with our very reliable platform and network, we're able to provide that to our current customers that have built games on our platform. So our customers basically follow two sort of separate, possible ways to build their game using Alibaba Cloud. One way is they use our infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. And that is basically just giving them access to our hardware in data centers. And with that hardware, they can build whatever they want. They can build the sort of storage system, the sort of networking system, that they want to build. And the advantage of that is that it's highly customizable. And they can build it to be whatever it wants to be as reliable as it wants to be, and store certain data from the users that they want, and build engines around analyzing that data. So in that way, it's very, very customizable, and we've had Japanese clients do that. But what's not such an advantage of that model is that it's very labor intensive, right? You have to write all the code for all the little parts of your game. And as you guys know, if you guys are sort of getting into the gaming industry, you're not just building the game, right? You're building storage for all the history of the game data, storage for customer information. You need some sort of networking model. You need to build nodes. You need to connect different pieces of hardware to ensure low latency across all of your regions that people will be using their game. So that's a lot to build. So most customers choose the second cooperation model, which is SaaS, software as a service. So they use existing Alibaba Cloud products to build and host their game. Now, the game itself needs to be obviously designed by the game people, whoever be designing the game. A lot of the hosting can be done, and sort of other back-end things can be done using currently available Alibaba Cloud products. So, for example, our OSS, our Object Storage Service, is used to store data and store files, and that's where the game itself could be hosted. The RDS is the Relational Database Service, so that is good for holding sort of Excel formatted data for your user data. That's good for sending notifications to users, grouping certain users in certain regions, and analyzing that data. It's really good for your business as well, to have a strong database service where you can really analyze what's going on with your game, and where you can improve, and sort of where you're doing well, and in this way you can take the next steps in your game development. And of course, possibly the most important is the CDN, the Content Distribution Network, that ensures that the game is streaming at high speeds at all times. Like I said in the beginning, a game dropping is a huge blow to any game that is hosted online. So the CDN ensures that sort of reliability, to make sure that your game doesn't go offline and doesn't lose its popularity sort of in an instant. And if you want to take it to the next level, you can use our analytical software such as Analytic DB to analyze that data. That can draw beautiful graphs for you, and give you more insight onto your user data, so you can make stronger decisions on how to progress. Or you could even use Pi, which is our machine learning platform, to take in that data and run it through machine learning algorithms and possibly feed that back into the game so that the game can sort of build itself over time. I'm very excited about machine learning and AI possibilities, especially when it comes around game design. I imagine games in the future, or even now, maybe someone out there sitting amongst you guys is thinking about this sort of thing, but a game that sort of develops itself over time, a game that's able to take in data, user data, and the world sort of changes, the world in the game changes, or the user experience changes based on the user's input. And that's sort of the next level of games that we're going to see, but it's starting now, and that's using machine learning algorithms to build on these games and to develop them themselves. I'll let you guys do the hard thinking on that one, because that needs a lot of work and a lot of smart coding and people to realize. But those products are already available, so it really just comes down to the code that our users are writing, and if it can go with machine learning products that already exist, and make these games better over time. Cool. So that's sort of how Alibaba sees the opportunities available in the video game industry. I didn't give you any specific solutions to games that are done, because it's still very open-ended. We really rely on the programmer the game designer themselves to build the experience that they want, and then we are able to sort of give the products we would recommend to make that game experience, what it can be. So I wanted to talk a little bit about COVID. I know it's a boring subject, but Alibaba Cloud has done a lot during COVID, and amongst those things, a lot of it has to do with machine learning and AI that I just mentioned, using machine learning algorithms to track areas that are very sensitive, to get resources there better, putting AI algorithms in CT scan machines to be able to more quickly and more intelligently analyze the stages of a virus in a certain patient. But I want to talk to you more about what we've been doing with DingTalk, our chat application, because I think it has the most relation to what you guys are doing and possibly the gaming industry. So what happened was when COVID struck China first, parents were very worried about their children not staying in school. They wanted to continue their education, but they weren't allowed to go to school because they were all quarantined. So what Alibaba did with DingTalk was offer a education platform for the education system here in China, so that teachers could host their classes on DingTalk directly. Users, children, would sign in, and it would be much like a Zoom conference where there would be 20 or 30 kids watching a single teacher while they gave the lesson. After lessons, teachers would send evaluations right into DingTalk. The students would write in their evaluations, send them back to the teacher. The teacher could grade them and send them feedback. Then the teacher could also send homework, and then the students could submit homework all on DingTalk. So what happened was the classroom experience, the offline classroom experience, was simulated as close as possible onto DingTalk, which was very cool because the education did not slow down here in China the way it did sort of in other areas of the world. And while some other regions adopted DingTalk, it was not as widely accepted as it was here in mainland China. And so I guess how does it relate to the video game industry? Well, I think it relates to the video game industry in two parts. First, I think kids love video games, right? And I think that there needs to be a revolution in education, in the sense that we need to deliver media to children that they like to take in, and that they learn from. You can't give a child a book like you could anymore, because kids don't read. It's not what everyone does. You can give kids videos to watch, but it's hard to evaluate during the video if the kid is learning or not. And so I think video games are a very interesting sort of space for the youth of the world to be educated by. I know that I've personally learned a lot from video games. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego was a very old PC game. When I was probably 10 or 11 years old, I played it on my PC. And it was about this traveling spy. And she would go around the world, and she would be looking for the bad guy. But as she was traveling around the world, the user had to answer questions about those places in the world. So I learned all about Europe and Africa and Asia, that I wouldn't have learned in school maybe from playing this video game. And so that's great. And a more popular example would be the Civilization series by Sid Meier. For those that play that game, that's a little bit more modern. But that game runs through building a civilization from military to economics to culture to border expansion to exploration to politics to international relations, and it's just really amazing. And I just learned a lot about human behavior from that game, So I don't know, those are just two examples in my life where I felt like I was learning a lot from video games. So I think the delivery of these video games through a platform like DingTalk and presenting it in a way that looks educational and looks like class, but is still a video game, is a really awesome area that I think needs to be explored. And I think Ding Talk can offer that platform for people who have designed an educational video game and then want to share it with the education community. But more generally, not related to Ding Talk in general, not related to Ding Talk specifically, this platform. The video game industry can really benefit from what Alibaba Cloud has been doing with our content distribution ability. That sort of leads me into the next little section I wanted to talk about, which was at the Olympics. So, as you're looking for a reliable platform to host your video game on, you need to look at a few things, right? You're looking at the reliability of not only your storage and your data and where you're actually hosting, but the reliability of the connections to your game. I presume that most of the games that you guys will be designing will be required to be online while you play, as most games are like that. So you're looking really at the reliability of the hosting and then the reliability of the networking. And so when Alibaba jumped into the Olympic cooperation, the main goal really of the Olympic cooperation was to be able to stream high quality video of live Olympic events to everyone in China. And China, probably takes, is an account for a fifth, if not maybe a quarter of all the people that watch the Olympics. Everyone in China has had a cell phone for a long time now, and everyone wanted to connect to watch the Chinese team compete. I think in Moscow was the first time that we formally cooperated with the Olympics. And so what was really amazing about what we were able to do was accomplish this feat where we were able to stream super high quality images to everywhere in mainland China instantly. And that was our vision of working with the Olympics, is that for the people that cannot attend the Olympics live, we want to give them an option to watch the games as if it were live. And that requires a worldwide network that is reliable and something that people can jump onto easily. And while we have we've mainly focused on the content distribution within mainland China for the Olympics, the international team is certainly looking to make that a worldwide thing. Our cooperation with the Olympics is not going anywhere. You still could have streamed the Olympics if you were outside of China, just not as successfully. And so that is something we work to improve on. And so, that technology needs to improve. And that is improving. And at the same time that we're building those networks, we don't have to just stream the Olympics. We can stream the next video game using the same network and the same nodes. And so that is the Olympic vision, but it's also the vision for a gaming industry that requires super highly reliable content distribution that doesn't lag and doesn't drop, and anyone in the world can access. So that brings me to speaking more specifically about the video game industry in Africa. And I know that there has been sort of huge strides in the modernization of Africa in the last decade. And part of those strides, I think, as we saw here in China in the last 10, 15 years as well, is that everyone has a cell phone now. And I think that is really a key part of what you guys need to be focusing on as gamers. Tencent is obviously another Chinese company, and they are very successful. After WeChat, their chat application, probably the second most profitable venture of theirs is their cell phone gaming industry. And now that everyone has cell phones in China, and not everyone is at their computer, everyone can be on their cell phones all the time, right? So you can log into the game wherever you are and play. And so this is as someone from the outside and really not understanding the Africa market as much as I'd like to, as I am just sort of connecting with you guys for the first or second time, I really see on the surface that cell phone game development is the key. So as far as advice, I would really focus instead of an OS 10 or a Windows game development. I would really look into Android or iOS game development. Probably Android. If I were to look at the data, I would probably see that Android has 70 to 80% market share in Africa. That's a guess. But whatever platform has the most market share, think about developing games directly for cell phones. They're just the largest part of the gaming industry worldwide now. And so that is something that I wouldn't shy away from. And maybe you can make the desktop version or the PC version that goes along with it, but I'd really focus on the cell phone game first. It's the best way to get it in everyone's hands and get everyone connected. So speaking on that, on the style of the game, well, cell phones are used to communicate, right? So the games that are really popular on cell phones are social networking games. Those are the games that you can see your friends in. And you can see strangers in, and you can chat to other people in, and you can play games with real humans. Those are the games that are the strongest, and those are the games that honestly that the Alibaba Cloud products, like the content distribution network, can support on, because they can make those connections between cell phones possibly quicker than our competitors. But just to think of some examples, before they had chess games on your cell phone, right, where you could play chess against a computer, and they were, somewhat popular just for people that love chess. And then this one called Spark Chess came along, and now Spark Chess is one of the highest used games on the App Store. And the only difference is that you can log in and play against your friends. And I don't want to play against a computer. I want to play against my friend. I want to prove that I'm better than him, and I want to have some competition with him. So that's one. And then look at the Nintendo games. Look at the Nintendo Switch games, like Animal Crossing, right? An incredibly simple game. You're building like a little house, and you're like farming and stuff. And you're doing very simple like economic transactions, things like that. So where's the value in that game? Well, your friends are there, and then your friends have an avatar, and you get to see them and talk to them. And that is where it's fun. That's the fun of it, and that's why it's just wildly popular now. So as far as game design, as far as game platforms, cell phones. As far as game design, lean towards social networking. And if you can connect your social networking in your game to Facebook, or whatever social network is prevalent in your area, then even stronger connection, right? Because your game, as soon as you log in, it's my first time logging into your game, it says, hey, would you like to add these friends? We see that you're friends with them on Facebook. Would you like to play with them? And then boom, you've already created a small network on this new game, and you're now invested in it because you're socializing on that game. So that's what I think, and so sort of more generally, if I'm speaking to you as an individual as opposed to sort of a group, remember to create value in the industry, right? So the technical side of things is as far as how to set up the servers and how to work with data and manipulate data. It seems sort of complicated, and when you look at the architecture diagrams, they aren't that simple. But many IT professionals are good at that, and they can do it, and it's actually not as hard as it may seem on the surface. But what they don't have, and what each of you who are watching this do have, is an idea. You have a creativity. And where does that idea come from, right? I mean, look at your environment. Look at the society you live in. What are the demands for entertainment? What are people wishing they were doing? And how can you meet those demands with a video game? I think of Farmville as an example for this. Farmville is, like Animal Crossing, a very simple game, even simpler than Animal Crossing. You're like growing, carrots and stuff. I've actually never played. I've just been told what Farmville's about. Apparently, you're just sort of growing vegetables. Why is it so popular? Well, you have to think about I would just take the U.S. as an example. Many people from the countryside had moved to the cities, maybe many generations ago. And for the people who grew up in the cities, there's always this fantasy of living in the countryside. And so for me, I'm also someone who grew up in the city and never lived in the country. For me, it's kind of a fantasy owning a farm. And so I think it would be fun to be able to log in and check out my farm, my fruits and vegetables and see how they're doing. I don't know, for someone who lives in the countryside, that seems incredibly stupid, but for us city people, it's like a dream, right? Because we've never seen that life. So whoever made Farmville must have seen that, wow, this urban population that's so large now has never even seen a countryside, maybe, or, fantasized about having a farm. So let me create this social network of farmers, and that's the key, though. It's not like you're just growing carrots too. It's I'm playing my friend on how many carrots we can grow, and I can grow more carrots than him, and that is the fun part of the game. So going back to that, social networking is the most important part of the game, right? But then after that, it's like, what sort of fantasies are you satisfying by creating your game? So the key aspects are not the details or the complexity of the game itself. It doesn't have to be a terribly complicated game, but it's sort of the dreams. It's the dreams that you're creating and then fulfilling for your users. And so think about that. And that's not something that you have right now, but it takes some time. You have to sleep on it, and you need to have conversations, and I hope that you come to a realization where you say, wait, this is what the people want, and this is the game that I will design around that desire. Cool. So that's it for sort of what I wanted to share with you guys. I just wanted to let you know that Alibaba Cloud Academy is offering certification courses that go along with all the products that I mentioned during this talk. We also have a YouTube channel where you're free to check out our free videos that have a large range of topics. Our certification courses start at 1 cent US dollars for our most popular courses. And those come with a certification and a badge, which is good for sharing on social media to show your friends that you are learning about Alibaba Cloud. We also have a cooperation with Coursera, the education platform based in the US, but a worldwide education provider. Our major courses are now on there, free to view. So you can jump onto Coursera.org, I believe it's Coursera.org, not edu, and type in Alibaba Cloud to see our courses there. In addition, you can go on to alibabacloud.com, and our first sort of level right below the banner has all the events that are upcoming. And a lot of those events come with free certifications and free testing. And if there's a subject you're interested there, feel free to jump in to the event, no matter if it's in your region or not. We love to see a high participation during our online conferences, and we show our appreciation by offering free certifications and badges. So that is all I have for you guys today. I'm sorry that I cannot join the question and answer panel discussion, but I would love to hear from you anyway. I will have Kofi send around to all of you participating my contact information. I will give him my personal email address. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about education, about gaming, about Alibaba Cloud, about China, anything, love to talk to you guys about it. I'm really excited for the potential that you guys have in developing the gaming industry and other cloud-related industries in Africa. And I wish you guys the best of luck. See you in the cloud.